Oh, okay. There we go. All right, thank you. Okay, as chair of the Northampton School Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12 pursuant to the executive order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which is authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are, one, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the Northampton School Board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number: 646-876-9923, webinar ID 950-3054-5769, or by clicking on the website attached to the agenda. 2, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing this meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website sau21.org. 3, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anyone has a problem, please call 603-926-8992, extension 103, or email revans@sau21.org. And 4, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access this meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call votes. So let us start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during the meeting, which is required by the right to know law. We will now take a roll call.
Aaron Stanton. Greg Duffy.
Present and alone.
Martin Tavishian.
Present with family.
Nermina Peterson.
Present with Jack.
And Tom Von Jess.
How's that?
Tom, can you hear us? We're asking you to unmute and acknowledge that you're present.
See a chat.
Yeah, that's something different.
Okay. I just asked him if he can unmute, and he says it's not working.
Okay. See, I am.
Oh. You unmute with the phone. Do you press a certain number or something?
So I've given him permission to talk, and then I'm also asking him to unmute. It's an actual button that pops up.
So he says he's pressed *6, which must be the unmute, but it's not working.
Is he getting anything on his phone whenever I click the button asking him to unmute?
I think he can hear you, so. I don't know.
Does he want to hang up? But is he on a smartphone where he can?
He just said move on.
Okay.
So we do have a quorum. So
you have a 3-person quorum right now. Yes.
Okay.
He's having trouble with his Zoom, so.
Okay.
We'll move on, and maybe he can drop and rejoin or something, or just hang out there and listen. Okay, moving on. All right, so just real quick before we start, I'd like to take a moment before we begin tonight just to add a little commentary for the public around the back-to-school decisions that have been made over this past week. I've spoken with each board member, and they have agreed to let me speak on behalf of the board. So after receiving several emails and watching sort of the social media chatter, we've become concerned that there's a developing notion that the Northampton School Board's vote of no during last week's joint board meeting is somehow indicative of the board not being aligned or in agreement with the SAU's direction and recommendations. It would seem that there's a small swell of public narrative that begins to pit the Northampton School Board against the SAU 21 administration, which is something we feel we should address immediately and decisively. So to be clear, we had two options on the table last week during the joint board meeting. One was to spend some significant monies and hire 3 new teachers to support the SAU-wide remote learning model. The second option was to go to full enriched remote learning for all SAU districts. In our opinion, both were very viable options that were well thought out and with every possible and logical solution explored. Your Northampton School Board voted for the first option in an effort to exhaust every last possibility for in-school teaching, even after Dr. Lupini explained to us thoroughly the potential risky results that this choice might have. In our view, at no time has the Northampton School Board not been aligned with any of the solutions and possibilities that the SAU has been so diligently working on all summer. In fact, we're quite humbled by the amount of efforts and hoops that Dr. Lupini and his team have had to jump through since the end of the school year. We doubt any of them have had any moments of peace since March 10th, which is also unfortunate. The perception of the no vote at the joint board meeting was merely a vote for option 1 versus option 2, which of course is now a moot point, and kind of brings us to the last topic I'd like to talk about real quick, is that we would just like to point out as a board that while many people expressed sort of surprise and shock by this last week's joint board decision, the move to full enriched remote learning was always, and in fact still is, a possibility that Dr. Lupini has been telling us and the public through this whole situation. It's been extremely fluid, and it will most likely change right up to the very end, which could be Tuesday. So while it's unfortunate and convenient, we believe that Dr. Lupini has been very transparent in this since day one, that these possibilities can happen the whole time, and in which they did. So while it's not surprising because there has been transparency. So we just wanted to take a moment to make these points clear to our community and really to squash any narrative of disagreement or misalignment between the school board and the SAU administration. It's just not true. It's not happening. And to be honest, it's really unproductive for all of us. We've witnessed poor leadership and decision-making in the past, and it does not look like this. Speaking from experience over the past 6 years, I cannot begin to express how outstanding a job this SAU is doing and has been doing for us. We've worked hard as a community to restore a positive culture in our Northampton school, and we should be protecting it, nurturing it, and building upon it. So we felt as a board, we just wanted to make a clarifying statement tonight before we got to our regular agenda. Okay, so we've done our call to order, and our first item on the agenda is our responsive classroom presentations. So I believe Sue has a little introduction for us, or perhaps Becca.
I have the introduction, so I will share my screen. So this is basically an introduction about responsive classroom and their philosophy and their beliefs and their guiding principles. And then I'm going to pass it off to our guests, Trish Johnston and Chris LaCroix, who are our 6th grade teaching team. And then Becca will follow up with an update about the 7th and 8th grade team. So you can, well, actually, I don't know if you can read it. Responsive classroom, I'm not going to read all of them to you, but basically the premise is a real commitment to safe, joyful, and engaging classrooms, and building that sense of community and enhancing it, and that social and emotional skills are just as important as academic skills. these are the guiding principles, and you can see the first one is just what I said, that we need to pay close attention to students and how they're feeling in school, that they're feeling connected and have that sense of belonging. And you can see these are their guiding principles. Partnering with families, knowing our students well, understanding their developmental levels. And again, the core belief, which is in order to be successful in and out of school, students need to learn a set of social and emotional competencies. And that's the acronym CARES: cooperation, assertiveness, responsibility, empathy, and self-control, and a set of academic competencies: academic mindset, perseverance, learning strategies, and academic behaviors. And as you can see, after we went through the profile of a graduate process last year, these guiding beliefs really match up with Northampton School guiding beliefs and attributes that we would like to instill in our students and staff. So we had our entire middle school team attended responsive classroom training this summer. It was all virtual, which was really a unique experience, and the administrators did as well. Becca and I attended at a different time, and we ended up with different weeks and different groups of colleagues in the virtual trainings, but it was really a great experience. And I'm not going to talk too much about that because that's why Chris and Trish are here. But middle school is very different with responsive classroom, and this practices and strategies are really built around middle schoolers' developmental needs and knowing them. So advisory is one piece, and you can see advisory it's similar to an elementary morning meeting in that there's an arrival and a welcome, announcements, acknowledgements, and an activity. And then there's other practices that are very embedded in these beliefs. They're investing students in the rules, giving them brain breaks and knowing that they need to move around and have a break from academics, that there's active teaching and student practice. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and pass the baton to our illustrious 6th grade team.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you.
Can everybody hear me? Okay, I feel like that's like a necessary, gotta check. Yeah, so we were fortunate to be able to participate in that training as a whole middle school. We did feel like, especially for 6th graders coming from 5th grade in a self-contained classroom, that we wanted, first of all, something that was kind of like a bridge from open circle, which is what they do in elementary school, but also something unique to middle school that would kind of help them kind of gel as a community, build relationships with each other and with us. And yeah, just a common structure, I guess, we wanted the whole middle school to be able to use, common language, common structures, especially because we have a handful of newer middle school teachers. So yeah, the training was excellent. I really wish that I had it as a new teacher, like 13 years ago. It would have been an excellent training for a first year teacher. But let's see. Yeah, so I feel like the curriculum itself is pretty expansive. It's not just advisory. It kind of is enmeshed across all the curriculums. It's something that you can use in your academic classes, outside in transitions, just in, it's going to be virtual. So in virtual conversations with kids, just ways to use language, build trust, and just kind of connect with kids. And we felt like, especially with this year, the circumstances that we're in with the remote learning, that was going to be a real need for kids and for us to be able to connect with them. So the timing of that was really good. It did give us some really good tools and some structures to use with kids. Because in 6th grade, and I'm sure, and in 7th and 8th, the same, we really want to promote a sense of community with the kids. We want kids to feel like they belong, that they are significant parts of our community. We want to be able to check in with them and make sure that students are ready for academic learning. We want to practice communication skills and some of those essential SEL skills with them. And this advisory time that we're going to be building in. We're going to be having like an advisory time twice a week. And I believe the 7th and 8th grade is planning on a similar twice a week kind of thing. But that gives us like specific time to focus on the kids who, I mean, they're always at the center of our attention. That's our job. But this gives us time to focus on kids and who they are and what they are interested in, what their needs are, without also having to worry about, you know, math and science and LA and humanities, because that becomes a whole nother ballgame. So yeah, do you want to add anything in, Trish? Or
Sure. Yeah, the timing of all of this training was perfect. I think the two really helpful things was we got to feel like a student learning virtually for 7.5 hours a day, 4 days in a row. What I really appreciate is getting all the materials. So like some workshops, you go and you learn and you get the PowerPoint presentation. We have all the books and all the materials and the chimes and the resources. But more than all of that, I think it just gave us validation as middle school teachers that where our focus is and what our philosophy is about the children, about connections, about building those relationships. Because honestly, if you don't have that in place, strongly in place, the academics don't matter as much. You're not going to get that. We really feel our children are coming to school this year, perhaps in the most vulnerable position they could be in. What they've experienced since last March, as we've all experienced, it's going to have some ramifications. So we feel very strongly that taking the time to build that structure, even though we might have a scheduled advisory twice a week, we have 20-25 minutes every morning in our homeroom groups just to check in and set eyes on children every day, and built in time to do it at the end of the day as well. And we're hoping with those bookends, all the children feel connected to their teachers, but as importantly to each other, and building that community and giving them opportunities to be with their peers, to be with their friends, learning themes together, following the same structure, and having the language we think is going to prepare them really well for what's to come this year. So we're really excited about it and grateful for the opportunity to have this. We wish they were here with us. I wish we haven't actually started yet. We would love to have children come talk to you about their experience. Maybe we can make that happen a little bit later in the year. So we haven't quite started. We've got lots of plans and ideas, but we're hoping for the best.
Thanks, you
All
guys.
right, thank you.
Chris and Trish, did you have anything else to add before I share about 7th and 8th grade? Good.
I'm going to say one more thing.
Sure.
So today, some of you might know that we scheduled some device pickup for families, particularly for the middle school families who are going to be learning remotely. And some of the middle school teachers were there this morning and then again at 5. And it was the best day I've had since March 12th. I took a personal day on the 13th, but seeing the families and seeing the kids and seeing former students and incoming students was the best thing to have happened in a long time. So thank you everybody for all the efforts to help us go remote in middle school at Northampton.
So I'll share just a little bit about 7th and 8th grade. So we're actually going to have 7th and 8th grade combined in their advisories. In their academic subjects, it's 7th graders and 8th graders. So we felt like having the combined advisories was going to allow them a chance to socialize because they can't be in the building socialized during lunch and recess and the other opportunities they would normally have. So the combined 7th and 8th grade advisories, each advisory consists of between 7 and 8 students and has 2 adults. They are going to meet twice a week, much like in sixth grade, but of course that's just the structured advisory time. The beliefs and the principles behind responsive classroom will be embedded into the core time with the students. The advisors are going to be meeting, because it's a larger team for 7th and 8th grade, are going to be meeting once a week to plan collaboratively for upcoming events and advisory. And also the advisors are going to be checking in daily with students to discuss how they're going to be using the flexible times of their day. And also the advisor is going to be the contact person for the parent. So basically I'm advising this year. I'm really excited to be able to do that. I'm going to be working with Betsy McCombs, our librarian. She and I are co-advising a group, and I'm going to have that group of students. I believe there are 8 of them in ours, and I will be the contact person for the parents. I will check in with those students. I'll be like the mother hen, the looking out, the keeping track of the students during this time. So we're really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great addition to our middle school program in the long term, not just under these current conditions, but for years to come.
Thanks, Becca. Okay, any additional questions for the group? No, all clear. Thank you, Trish. Thanks, Chris, for joining in. All right, moving on in our agenda. The next item is regular meeting minutes from August 6th. So I have a motion to accept those.
Greg, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from August 6th regular meeting.
And a second? I'll second. Any commentary?
Greg Duffy,
Yes.
Martin Tavishian. I'll come back to him. Yermina Peterson,
Yes.
Tom Von Jess,
Yes.
and Martin Tavishian.
I'm sorry, I just got booted out. What are we?
We're just doing the minutes from the August 6th regular meeting.
Yes, vote to approve them.
Okay. I have that vote recorded, Greg.
Thank you, Rhonda. Next is do I have a motion to accept the minutes from the August 19th meeting?
18th.
18th first.
Oh, 18th. Oh, we got 3. Sorry. Skip
Motion to
one.
approve the minutes from the August 18th, 2020 meeting.
I'll second.
Further discussion?
Martin Tavishian,
Yes.
Tom Von Jess,
Yes.
Yermina Peterson,
Yes.
and Greg Duffy.
Yes.
I have that vote recorded as well.
Thank you. And now the motion to approve the minutes from the August 19th meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the August 19th meeting.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Nope.
Tom Von Jess
Abstain.
and Greg Duffy,
Yes.
Yermina Peterson,
Yes.
and Martin Tavishian.
Yes.
Okay, I have that vote recorded as well.
Thank you, Rhonda. All right, next is correspondence and accommodations. Does anyone have any?
Yes, I have a couple. The first one is a commendation for Dimitri Mattis for helping to get all of the devices ready for the pickup. It's really a much bigger job than you can imagine, and he took great care in providing some extra details and putting the student's name right on the device, putting their login and taping that right inside the device. So we had devices ready, laptops and iPads ready for all of our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and also for students who are in the Remote Learning Academy. So that was a big job. So we really appreciate that. And he's still got more big jobs to do to get all of the other devices ready. And that we have the last order still yet to come in mid September. So that is a big job. The second is, I'd like to read this to you. It's a thank you note from Brenda Eves. And it says, "Dear Northampton School Board, Greg, Tom, Aaron, Nermina, and Martin, thank you for the engraved for the engraved bowl recognizing my years teaching at Northampton School. It has been an honor and privilege to serve the children, their families, and the community of Northampton for the past 22 years. I wish you all the best of luck as you guide the school through the challenges ahead. With gratitude, Brenda Eves. So it's not just one Brenda Knight, it's another Brenda Knight, because Brenda Tharp has actually completed 35 years of service at Northampton School. So she was recognized at the opening day Zoom as a 35-year educator, and we have a pin that's for her as well from the SAU. So I wanted to mention those, and I believe Becca has some other thanks.
I have a couple. So in a little bit, Susan's going to be sharing a video with you, I believe. And I wanted to thank the 4 individuals that worked very hard and gave amazing creative talents that are well beyond what we could have possibly suggested when we asked them to do this. So Wendy Wallace, Masako Moore, Christina McAllister, and Marcia Zavas all lent their talents towards that video. So we're very appreciative, and I think the community is really going to enjoy it. I can't wait for the kids to see it. And then also today we had a community picnic to kind of celebrate all the hard work that went into the reopening of our schools and the getting ready for our remote learning opportunities and making the school safe. So Paula Field and her crew in the kitchen did an amazing job making bagged lunches for us. So I wanted to thank Paula, Paulette, Ann, and Ray for their efforts preparing for the community picnic. It's also a plug. I have to say those bagged lunch that they made for us, they were really good. So when you're thinking about ordering your lunches for your students or whether you're going to bring them in, I highly recommend the cooking. Those bagged lunches were really good. It was impressive. So I hope that our families will consider using the food service this year or continuing to do that.
Thanks. I actually have 2 more, but they're on a slide. I'll show you them when I share my screen again. I have 2 more.
Okay. Hey Becca, in those lunch bags, was there anything from the garden this year? Did anyone manage to maintain that?
You know what, we have had some things maintained in the garden, many thanks to our garden stewards, our greenhouse stewards, but nothing was harvested for this. We do have some things that are in the garden to be harvested, so we're looking forward to having the kids do that. It was maintained over the summer.
Great. Thank you. Any other correspondences or accommodations that anyone would like to discuss? Okay, moving on. Public comment. I think I saw a couple attendees. So if anyone is interested, Rhonda can let you in.
If anyone's interested, just raise your hand by using the little raise your hand feature at the bottom of your screen. And I don't see any hands being raised, Greg. I'll keep an eye on that.
So we'll move on. Sometimes people have a challenge finding the little hand. So if the 3 people who are listening do have a question and you raise your hand, we'll let you be heard. But we're going to move on to our educational updates in school council.
So for school council, there's really not a separate update because we had 2 meetings in August, and they were really centered around decisions for our opening and decisions that impacted the start of school. So we met and discussed how we would implement UA classes, how we would ensure safety, and you've seen some of those presentations that were a result of those meetings already. So there's really nothing new from there.
Okay. Then we can move on to our next agenda item, the continuing business of updating us on our return to school.
So tonight, I'm just going to turn this over to the people who've been doing the work on this. And so I think the way we've set this up is that your principal has a number of comments on this issue, but I also want to make sure you hear from Dr. Hobbs, who has essentially in the last week created another school within SAU. And it's that complicated. I think it's somewhere around 160 to 170 students. And so you should hear about the work It's higher than that. Dr. Hobbs is pointing his thumb upward, so it's higher than that. So I think you should also hear from Dr. Hobbs about the Remote Learning Academy and that work. And so Susan and David, I'll turn it over to you, and you can figure out the order you do this in. And
I'm happy to just do some quick bullet points. Susan, I know the reopening is going to be the big show. If that's all right.
No, go ahead, because I'm actually, my slides just froze, so go ahead.
Okay. Right. So Remote Learning Academy, as Dr. Lupini just said, we really have put together an organization serving, I'm saying mid 180s right now in terms of enrollment. And just, I'll preface the whole thing with a thank you to the staff that stepped up, including 3 long-term subs. Holly Fremo, if you're out there, thank you. She's one of the people that we recruited for this adventure. So we've got 9 total staff. Right now we are working on making sure we're handling transfers and also making sure we're handling new registrations which pop up at this time of the year. Some larger ideas that we're wrestling with. First has been coordination with special services, and thank you to all the directors on that. Just making sure our kids in the RLA teachers have access to the IEPs and make sure they understand the services. We're in the process of coordinating individual supports, one-on-one supports, thanks to those directors. As Susan, I think, mentioned, we did 4 simultaneous device pickups throughout the SAU today, including LAS, Northampton School, Seabrook Elementary, and Barnard. We had a really good turnout across the board, and the vast majority of both, the vast majority of Remote Learning Academy kids have devices in their hands as we speak, which is good. We are going to play catch up next week with those that don't. We've set up an orientation schedule whereby at least K through 4 teachers will have a live meeting with families throughout next week. Rather than just jumping into content, we really wanted to make sure that they had a chance just to connect with teachers and get the relationship set. So that's going to be an orientation schedule next week. We're going to start our normal learning schedule, which we've published on the 14th. So other things just that we've been wrestling with, Power School Access. It's difficult with 4 districts coming together, making sense of a simple thing like taking a classroom attendance on a daily basis. So we've been wrestling with that, making sure that teachers can access, making sure that students can access, all that. And then of course, the curriculum piece has been a big conversation for all of us. Special thanks to Becca out there. Not only is Northampton providing asynchronous enrichment activities for Unified Arts from your Unified Arts teachers K through 4, but we're also just developing kind of a matrix of programs that we're going to utilize, not only for core literacy and core math, but also we're going across grade span. So what we're using at kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, etc. So those, of course, come along with subscriptions and books and materials and all that. So we are just trying to organize that in a way that makes sense for all of our teachers and all of our learners. Lastly, we put together a website that's going to act as a home base. It's got daily schedules, it's got links to the teachers' pages, and it's going to have Unified Arts activities, etc. So we are in the process of building that. It's going to be a soft opening, I would call it, on Tuesday, but by next week we'll be in full swing. So that's where we are with remote learning right now.
Great. So can I share my screen again? So we have 2 Pride Awards here. Whoops, wait a minute, I went back. Let me go back here. These were acknowledgements that I didn't get to do. So these are our Pride Awards, Show Your Pride. So the first one is for Becca for showing all of the Pride attributes, especially empathy and responsibility in all of this work to reopen. And the second one goes to Dr. Lupini, Dr. Hobbs, Dr. Eric Caroline, and Mr. Ferreira for showing all of the Pride attributes, especially perseverance and responsibility. So I can, is it easier? It's easier for me. Is this too small for you? Do you want me to do present mode again?
Oh, I can see.
Yes. Okay. So
I meant yes, present. Yeah, there you go.
okay. So those are the Pride Awards. So we're hoping to have these for students at different times. The staff will be looking to recognize these positive attributes in our students as well, and middle schools working on a more middle school appropriate way to do this. So I want
That's
to
great. Well deserved. And I think those awards come with a voluntold that you have to be a Jaggy at least one of the school functions.
well. Well, wait till you see the video.
That's what I heard anyways.
So I just wanted to show you some pictures about so that you can see what the classrooms actually look like. We are ready. I think you saw in one of the other presentations the guard on the bubblers so that kids can't drink out of them, but they can still fill their water bottles. And this is a second grade classroom, and you can see the distance desks, and these are the plexiglass. They're individual carrels that we actually ordered a while back, and they came in, and they really I think are going to be helpful to us in instruction. This is fourth grade, and as you know, our fourth grade numbers were a little bit higher, and so this is one classroom and then the breakout room across the hall. This is Mr. Greedy, and these are the PE bags. So our phys ed teachers actually got together and made individual bags for each student so that they'll have individual PE, some items that they can participate in PE with outdoors and during PE class. So it depends on the grade, but most of them have things like a jump rope, a ball, a pedometer, and I can't remember if I think there's a few other things in there. There's sidewalk chalk that may be in another location, but it was really a great idea, and they were a lot of work. So kudos to the PE teachers. This is Mrs. LaCroix in her classroom getting ready for number corner. Third grade's ready. This is a kindergarten room and a first grade room with the desks separated, as you can see. And we have kindergarten screening that we have a little bit of a soft opening for kindergarten too. So under one of the tents, we're going to have kindergartners come by appointment on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then Thursday and Friday, they'll have 2 shorter days. And then the next Monday on the 14th, they'll be the 8:25 to 1:25. They'll have that schedule. You can see the 5th grade rooms. We moved them down to the middle school wing and utilized the science tables and can just fit the right number of science tables, and they can kind of it gives them a little bit more space for their things, and also it gives them a way to distance with the location of the chair at the table. And you can see one of the staircases, that's an up staircase. We've decided that at arrival and dismissal, the one-way staircases will go just whichever way makes the most sense so that kids can get from the closest, they're entering the door that's closest to their classroom area. So we'll be using the up and down staircases and the one-way hallway, which is really only around the library once kids are in school, but for arrival and dismissal, they'll use the stairways in whichever way is most efficient. There's Mrs. McLaughlin, and this is one of the small group rooms with a table and a plexiglass shield there. And then I just wanted to show you, because this is really cool. So, the walking track outdoors, the phys ed teachers also put together, they have signs all around the walking track for movement breaks. And so you get to the first station, they can do jumping jacks, then they walk a little farther. There's a balance spot, marching, jogging, balance again, and then run to number 6. Show off your best dance moves all the way to the number 7 spot. gallop, walk zigzag. So that's going to go all around the walking track. And then the real welcome back. So that went out today. And we can't tell you who's really behind the Jaggy costume, but let's just say still got the moves. Becca, do you have anything to add? I feel like I just kind of went through the slides, but I may have missed some of our plans. I feel like we also went through some of the logistics and some of the previous presentations.
Yeah, I don't think we have any other updates. We've pretty much put into place all the things that we've been talking about for the last month or so.
So hopefully the pictures gave you an idea of what the school looks like. The pictures that I didn't show you are the cafeteria that's full of all the furniture that we had to take out of the rooms in order to make them look like that, and in order to get the desks and tables 6 feet apart. But again, our custodians just have been doing such an amazing job, and we're really we're excited. The middle school students have orientation under the tent on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then we'll be we're going to see how that goes. Get the K-5 students in the building, and then come up with a plan for small groups. Our special education case managers are already planning for small groups at the middle school for students to come in that are willing and able to come in for their services, and then we'll be taking a look at our next steps after we get started. And that's my update. Questions?
That looked awesome. I have a question. It was good to see inside the school how you guys are setting it up. Is that will those images be shared with the public at all, or it might be interesting for a parent to see kind of the hard work and what's going on to keep their kids safe.
I think, we talked about that. And so I'll check so Carly Hurley has been super helpful in getting things posted on our website for us. And I think what might make sense is for me to post that, or for me to put them in a different format and ask her to post them so that parents can see what the inside of the school looks like, especially as you said, since we won't be having visitors in the building.
The other
Yeah, I
thing,
think that'd be, oh, go ahead, Beck.
no, I was gonna add that there's also been quite a bit of work from all the crews working on the outside. So you might recall we have the outdoor classroom and the nature trail. I don't think it's ever looked so good. Like they did an amazing job getting that ready for that to be one of our outdoor spaces, as well as the other spaces, getting them ready for students to enjoy for outdoor instruction.
Yeah, agree. I don't want to create more work for anybody, but it'd be great to show the tents, the outdoor spaces, what's going on inside the school. Like here, parents, here's what back to school looks like this year, because you've all done a lot of work, and not everybody drives by the school, so some people might not have any idea.
And the tents are, so we tested the tents in the rain yesterday, late afternoon, because we had 4 Meet the Teacher sessions, and it was raining pretty hard. and really it was very comfortable. So we had 2 sides down, and it blocked the rain and the wind, and it was very comfortable. So I'm really happy with the tents, and I'm glad we got the sides. As we said, we wouldn't ever put all 4 sides down, but it's really nice to have the option.
That's great. We'll have them for Oktoberfest too. All right. Any other questions?
So I don't have any questions. 2 quick comments. First of all, thank you for sharing and thank you for all your work. The other thing that I've been thinking about a little bit is parent pickup and drop off. And I'm a little nervous about it because even before the volume was increased, not everybody obeyed the rules and kind of parked and walked over when they needed to. Cars would pull around. And with the volume that we have coming out, I would just encourage all of the families out there to stay in line, pull all the way forward, listen to the teachers. And then if we need to ask the police department to have an officer help us out, I would encourage us to do that. But hopefully we won't need that to happen.
They're coming. They're already coming. I've already talked to Chief Moan. Okay. And we also, we purchased enough radios so that every classroom teacher will have a radio, and students won't be released until their parent is in the queue. So we also made car placards, and we gave them out at Meet the Teacher. So they'll have car placards with their name, and we'll have folks with the radio, and only release kids when they come into the driveway. So if a parent parks and tries to come over, we can redirect them to please get back in the car line, and that's because their child's still inside until we call for them.
Great. Well, that's wonderful news. Thank you for thinking about that ahead of time. That's excellent.
And there's a lot more staff assigned. We have a lot more folks outside than we normally do. It's like, wow, I didn't know we had that many adults. There's a lot of us out there to make sure things go smoothly.
Are they bringing the lightsabers?
I don't know.
Dang it.
Any additional questions or comments? So you mentioned the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders and planning for their sort of time in the school. And I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. You don't know what that exactly looks like today, but within the next week or 2, you're going to start formulating the plans for how the kids come back in small groups.
Yes, that's our goal. So we'd like to see how this works and who takes advantage of the bus transportation. So we did send out a Google form and asked which families needed transportation in order to get to the school for a small group setting. And we kind of have to negotiate that too with the bus company if we need to utilize buses more often for small groups. The response was pretty light for the bus from the middle school families for the orientation days. So we may be able to shift things around with the way they organize the buses for those first 3 days. And we also are experimenting with the tent signups. Becca has been working with Dan Murphy, and they've created a way for teachers to sign up for outdoor spaces. So we have the 3 large tents. And we also have other spaces that people like to use, that like the bleachers up by maybe they didn't like to before, but they might like to now. The bleachers up by the softball field and the rock garden, and there's a nice spot by the soccer field for lunches and things like that, where there are some picnic tables. So We need to see how the spaces get used and what the best way to get the small groups back in. We've also given up some of the middle school classroom space for elementary. So we need to figure out see how it all works and then make our plan. We have, Becca and I each have a different idea for a structure, and the ideas are quite different. So we're going to flesh it out and then come back to the table.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
And Dr. Hobbs, quick question. So now that we have the Remote Learning Academy back and we have some additional teachers, specific to Northampton, I guess, can you, let's see what's the best way to ask this. I'm curious as to our first, second, third, fourth, fifth graders who are not coming into school and that are going to participate in the Remote Learning Academy. Where and how are they going? Well, I know where they're going to be taught in their home, but what district will be covering off on all those grades?
So
I didn't say that well, I know. Where would a fifth grader from Northampton go to get their remote learning experience?
So K through 4 is a mixed bag, and the majority of our teachers that we've got for the Remote Learning Academy are Seabrook Elementary teachers, K through 4. Everybody who is enrolled in the Remote Learning Academy at grade 5 is enrolled in a full schedule at Seabrook Middle School. And then grades 6 through 8, you guys are actually inheriting kids from LAS in your remote sections.
Okay, so our K through 5s will be remoting into Seabrook.
Fourth grade is taught by an LAS teacher.
Okay, yeah, I guess that's what I'm curious. Like, where's each grade going?
Right. So K through 3 would be Seabrook Elementary, and then 4th would be LAS, and then 5th is Seabrook Middle.
Isn't there one first grade teacher that's technically
there is one first grade teacher that's technically a Northampton teacher, but they are using Seabrook Elementary curriculum. Thanks, Susan.
Okay.
I think one of the things just to comment on this is that the mutual support among the districts has really been a real positive thing to see, I would say. So as Dave said, we're welcoming 6 students from Lincoln Ackerman into our remote classrooms in 7th and 8th grade. And our 5th graders are getting welcomed into Seabrook's remote classrooms. And then there are, mixed groups of students from different schools in the K to 4 remote classroom. So it's really, it's a pretty groundbreaking idea, and it's really nice to see the support from all sides.
Thank you. Okay, shall we move on? All right, continuing business, school board retreat, which got a little sidetracked during this whole thing. We did have a date for it, but it got moved and adjusted due to some emergency meetings, understandably. So we still need to do this. So I think we need to throw out some dates and look for some availability to set our yearly goals. And so I'm not quite sure where to start. It might make sense to start, Bill, with the SAU. I think you guys are the most busy, along with Sue, and then the board can try and sort of work our schedule into what works for you guys.
I haven't talked to people about this, but I have some days I'm not available during the week of the 14th. So we'd probably be looking at something either the 17th or 18th or the week of the 21st. At this point, would probably, it's not going to be next week, obviously, but and then I have some lack of availability. So 17, 18, or 21 through 25. Rhonda, I'm sort of looking at you as to whether that makes sense or whether I'm giving some dates that I shouldn't be giving.
I think the biggest concern is what time of day are you looking at, Greg?
Right, that's
You
true.
guys want an evening meeting, a day meeting?
I think I'll have to throw that out to the group to see what works best for people. So why don't we look at, if everyone has a calendar available, let's look at the September 17th and 18th is a Thursday and a Friday.
Well,
I can tell you right now that Thursday morning, the administrators are not available.
Okay, how does Thursday, how long are they unavailable for? Did they do noon?
I'm not sure if we're totally unavailable.
Okay.
That's up to Bill. If we're
The 8:30 to 9:30, I want to make sure I do, but outside of that, so noon. The answer to your specific question, Greg, is noon. I believe noon would work.
How does noon look for the board members?
I can make that work. The afternoon of the 17th is fine with me.
I can make that work too.
Okay. Did we lose Martin again?
I think we did lose Martin.
We did lose Martin.
So wait for him to sign back in. So Martin, we're talking. Can you hear me, Martin? Okay, we're talking about dates and times at work. We've narrowed in on September 17th, high noon. How's your schedule look? I think we're probably looking at a few hours, 2 to 3.
That's right.
Can't tell if he's looking or frozen. There he is.
He's muted.
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the Wi-Fi. What were the dates?
The 17th from like noon to 2, Martin, does that work for you?
Yes, it does.
Great. Okay.
17th, noon to 2. I'll confirm with Erin. She had sent me a note saying, make it happen and she'll figure it out. So,
okay.
So Greg, if you could let me know that, then I can go ahead and send out and get the agenda out and send out a Google Calendar invite to everybody.
I will do that.
Great, thank you.
And how are we feeling about live?
I'm good to go with that.
I'm fine with that.
Would we?
Bill, I know you have some concerns about it.
Well, my biggest was being able to accommodate the public. But would you be talking about town hall?
Something, yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere, a place where we can space appropriately and not put, you know, obviously we don't want to put each other at risk, but we also don't want to put what you're trying to accomplish, Bill, with your pod groups. We don't want to put that.
All right. Let us look at. We'll look into that, okay, and see if we can make that work.
Okay. So I think technically it is a public meeting, even though it's a retreat, right?
It is a public meeting, yes.
I believe historically nobody has shown up, and I don't see a reason why they would now. There were far more interesting things for the public to tune into than this over the past. I think they're tired now, and not in a bad way, but just we're all a little exhausted.
See where we are on the 17th.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so if we are thinking, so who would be responsible for getting the space, I guess?
Well, Rhonda and I will talk about that.
Okay, all right. Not trying to help you out, but all right.
Thank you.
Go for it, guys. All right, so that's good. That seems like it's easier than it ever has been to find time. Moving on then, new business looks pretty blank. Do we have no new business, Matt?
In regard to the finance report, No, yeah, no new business.
Okay, then we'll move right on to the finance report then.
Greg, I actually have one piece of that's just new business. The New Hampshire School Board Association Delegate Assembly has put out a notice asking for any motions for the assembly, and I will send that out to all the school board members, and I'll copy Susan and Dr. Lupini, but that'll go out tomorrow, just to keep an eye out for that.
Okay, and that's the meeting that you attended on behalf of us last year.
Correct.
And I think there were about 5 or 6 proposals that you represented us with up there, correct?
Correct, I did. And this is our opportunity to make a proposal to the delegate assembly in January. So if we want to draft something, we can draft something and submit it. But our window is now just open. So it'll be apparent in the email that I send, and there'll be a link to go on to the New Hampshire School Board Association site to see what other districts have done.
Okay, thank you. I just got something in the mail. I got the same thing in the mail today. It must go to the delegate representative, which was you and the chair head.
Yep.
Did anyone else receive one? No. Okay.
I think the NHSBA sends it out to all members.
Yes.
Yeah.
To everybody. Okay, so that you should see something.
Okay.
Email, yeah, because there was something that came out today, and I believe that all of that goes to all board members.
Okay. So we'll all be receiving something from the New Hampshire School Board Department of Education. And so I guess maybe we put on the agenda for the next meeting to discuss. Everyone will have about a month to take a look and think about it.
That'd be perfect. Thank you.
And we'll add it to our next agenda meeting. Ron, do you mind making a note of that?
Sure.
And then Bill, what's the process around what gets accepted and then comes back to the boards for review? Last year we looked at 5 sort of.
Yeah, I believe those go to the executive board of the School Boards Association, which is members from around the state from the different regions. They take a look at where things may be similar, where there may be items that just don't fit the definition of belonging in terms of being voted on by the assembly, and then they publish they vote on and recommend out to the membership those particular items.
Okay.
So I just forwarded the email to everybody on a Northampton school board that they sent out on September 1st. So if you missed it, you have it again.
Thank you. Okay. Finance report. Matt.
So the fiscal year-to-date expenditure report is included on board docs. There are no significant changes from last month. I do want to point out on page 1, if you look under regular education salary substitutes, we have an available balance of $50,000 that has not been expended. However, that is the account that the Remote Learning Academy expenditures will come out of. So as we go through the year, that account will be expended and go negative. Additionally, on page 1, you will see under special education that salaries for educational associates is over budget by $67,000. This is a reflection of an additional need for EAs for students with special needs per their IEP. That's a fair amount over budget. However, special education, the entire department as a whole is still under budget. It's something we will monitor as we go through the year. As you know, special education can sometimes, those costs can sometimes fluctuate. Finally, on page 5, I just want to, I mentioned this at last month's board meeting, but I just want to reiterate that the buildings account for equipment is over budget by almost $37,000, and that's primarily due to the rental of the tents. I'd be happy to answer any other questions in regard to the expenditure report. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Matt. All right, under personnel, we have some ratification of nominations. We'll do that under non-public. And then we have a first policy read.
So, right, these are from way back from the spring. And these are, they were recommended out by the policy subcommittee. This is a first read by each of our boards, and then they would go on the joint board agenda for October for approval. So we're happy to try to answer any questions tonight, or if you have questions as you get to these, and you want to ask any of us questions about these, please do.
Okay, I don't have any questions on them at this point. Does anyone else have any? All right, so if there are, anything comes up, get them to Bill before the next joint board meeting, which is, what was the date on that?
It's in October, October 20th.
October 20th. Perfect. Okay, next meeting dates. We have our October meeting. We've just scheduled our board retreat meeting for Thursday the 17th. Looks like the OC has something on the books, October 6th. And then, oh, there's the joint board meeting, October 20th, right there. All right, I think at this time, we'll take a motion to go into non-public.
I'd like to make a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91A32B.
I'll second.
Greg Duffy,
Yes.
Nermina Peterson,
Yes.
Tom Von Jess,
Yes.
and Martin Tavishian.
Yes.
Okay, just give us a moment.
We haven't had a short one like this in a while.
I know, and you know what? I'm gonna stop the recording. And somebody made a motion to return to public session. Was that Tom?
Yes, I make a motion to return to public session.
I seconded that.
Greg,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Nermina,
Yes.
and Tom.
Yes.
All right, I have the vote recorded and you're back in public session.
Okay, back in public session.
20 hours.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion. Whoops, I'm sorry. Trying to find make a motion to accept the resignation from Lindsay Lewis effective immediately.
Second.
Tom Von Jess,
Yes.
Nermina,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
and Greg.
Yes.
I have that vote recorded.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to ratify the superintendent's nomination and hiring of Megan Sharples for the second grade job share and EA position for the 2021 school year.
Second.
Martin? I think Martin froze. We'll come back. Nermina?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And Martin?
Yes.
I have that vote recorded.
Okay, I will make a motion to ratify the superintendent's nomination and hiring of Karen Donahoe for the grade 2 teacher position for the 2021 school year.
Second.
Nermina?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
And Greg?
Yes.
I have that vote recorded.
Thank you. I believe that is all our business for this evening. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
Okay.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
All right, I'll mark it unanimous. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you. Enjoy
Thank
your
you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Weekend.
Have a good week.